Hi Anne, it's lovely to be at Harrogate today to talk about an exciting project that I know a little bit about but to explore more about. So I just wondered if you can tell me some of the background to the project and why it came into being.
For quite a long time in the Trust Group we've been thinking a little bit about how we might support churches in terms of their buildings, but it's really come out of me listening and talking to churches in the YBA and my YBA role. Because what I've heard is that people often see their buildings as absorbing time and money and energy. Some of them will talk about them being millstones around their necks. But actually our buildings are often in the heart of the community, so they could become great community assets. So I think it's a little bit about saying to churches to help us to think a little bit about what are the missional purposes of the church and how can we develop our buildings in order to serve those missional purposes. So that's kind of some of the background to the project.
That's brilliant. When churches like yourselves here and others have kind of got to grips with really flipping that switch and thinking about their church as that asset, what does this project do to encourage them down that road and help them find and fulfil their vision?
Yeah, so as we kind of were talking, Mike Green, who's one of the members of the Trust Group, had experienced a live project with Sheffield University. So basically we get a group of master's students who are architectural students, year 5 or 6, are quite experienced, and basically they'll be working with 5 pilot churches, so ourselves, West Craven Baptist Fellowship, Trinity Rawdon, Hare Hills and Blackley. Most of those churches have already got quite a good idea about what the missional purpose is and how they'd like their churches to be used missionally. So basically they'll be working for 6 weeks, a project between beginning of October and mid-November. And the idea is they'll help us to think a little bit about our communities, how our buildings might be used for community purposes, and also give us some sort of blueprints or maybe some rough ideas of some of the things we might be thinking about for our building and using them as community assets and not just kind of sacred spaces really.
Fabulous. So somebody's looking at this and thinking, oh, that sounds really exciting. I wish we could use that kind of help in our space. What do they need to be doing now?
So it is very much a pilot, so we'll be looking if it's really helpful for us as churches to roll it out to other churches. But I think there's an opportunity for churches to begin to ask the questions that we're kind of asking. So thinking a bit about what are some of the challenges of the building, where are those unused spaces, how is it currently being used, but also to think a little bit kind of blue sky thinking about actually how do we like it to be used, who are the people we can partner with, what does it look like, how would we like it to feel when somebody comes in. So those are the sorts of questions at leadership and at church level you can begin to ask those questions now.
Fantastic. So if they start to ask those questions, can we also say it might be good that they get in touch with you for some help with that? And it'd be really great as well if people could pray for those pilot churches on quite a significant area of their journey.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Anne. That sounds really interesting. I'll look forward to some updates as some of the work commences. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.